back in the utility room. I honestly don't know where this video is going to fit in, or if it's even going to make it into the cut, but I'm back in here, and I suddenly had a thought in the middle of the night last night that this is a utility room. We're going to have a tumble dryer and a washing machine stacked there. It suddenly occurred to me, do I need to have ventilation in this room that is kind of manual, you know, like ducted extractor fan, but basically an extractor fan. And I looked on the regs, and part F, which deals with that sort of thing, ventilation, isn't 100% clear, but the best guidance it seems online is that yes, it does. And I obviously haven't planned any of that. I haven't run anything. Now, I've bought a Blauberg extractor fan. I actually bought this for the downstairs toilet. Gets really good reviews, German quality, really quiet. It looks kind of modern and quite nice. And I've got some ducting for it as well. And my plan is to put it. The plan is to put it in the wall up here, and then send the ducting up and over and down this way, and then out the wall that way. Now, that portion of the wall there very conveniently sits on this side here. So what I think I'm going to do is get another extractor fan and have it coming out through here. So it will sit, the extractor fan will sit up around there, and it will duct out. So then on this side, where I'm open currently still, I'll have one bit of ducting running this way, I'll have another bit of ducting, and I'll have a Y, and I'll have a non-return, like a backdraft stopper, that will stop the smells, you know, any smells kind of cross-contaminating with one another.
It's worth pointing out that you would normally have an isolating switch, and then you would wire the fan into the isolating switch. I cannot do that in this instance because I am using Kinetic switches, which are very different, and you'll see them in another video, but it means that the fan will always switch on and always switch off with the light without any isolation. Obviously that's not ideal, but there isn't a lot that you can do about it, and it is one of the drawbacks of using Kinetic switches.
So that's the plan, and then what I can do is I can send the 3-core and earth through that way, and that will power this here. The fan will be powered on the 3-core and earth, the cable can come in through there, and what I can do is I can just take this panel off and I can run the cable through, because the light is going to be around here, so it'll run off the lights, so it'll be a mains powered 3-core and earth. So I have now run my 3-core and earth cable. This is just a 1.5mm 3-core and earth, which is why it looks a little bit like a 2-core and earth, because it's not as big. So I've got that there, and I haven't decided whether I'm going to run it kind of tight along here, or I think running it around here is most safe because it's kind of most out the way there, and I've got enough excess on the cable. Doing it from this side of the room, I can obviously see where the top of the ceiling is there with that extra piece of plasterboard that's kind of poking through with my torch. And I can then offer this up here, and I can see how high or low I need to go, and I can see where I want this to be, basically. And what I can then do is I can offer this up like that. I can draw around it, and I can cut out, and then I can pocket it from the other side, and I can secure it in place, etc., etc. So it actually works out really nicely doing it like this. Now this is actually quite deep. I don't know if you can see how easy it is to see there, but it takes up quite a bit of space. So over here on this side, I'm going to have a think about where I place it and how it ducts. It may be that I do it up here in the ceiling, in the roof instead, but then it's tricky. Or maybe here in the corner, because I'm thinking I've got flexible hose that I need to run. So I'm going to have a little bit of a play with that and think about that as a strategy, and I can sort that. But yeah, bear in mind there's always this little plastic film in here. That needs to come out, otherwise it's going to cause you issues. But yeah, otherwise it's quite an easy job, I think, to get this in, and then I can just figure out where exactly in the room I want to have this ducted. So it sits here on the plasterboard. So there's probably, I don't know, 3.5 inches, maybe 4 inches that stick in the wall, and I've got 6-inch timbers, so that's actually pretty good. But I obviously don't want to have it too tight as a bend when it first comes out of there. Although it's air, so maybe it's not too much of an issue. I was thinking I would just trim this down if it was too deep, but I can't because the fan unit is all of the depth of that. So there's that. So that is what it will look like once the wall's plastered and it's all secured on. That's how it will look, which is really nice. Did a nice snug hole. Just going to move my ladder and I'll show you what I've done on the other side. So that's the bit that I cut out. This is it on the other side. I actually cut it from this side, hence why there's all this dust up here. Got nice excess length on the cable. I'm really happy. Although I can't see immediately where the cables run through. So I'm going to take it apart and see, because I might need to drill a hole to be able to feed this cable through. So I'm going to have a look at that now. So you can see the wiring up in here. Got the space for the screws to go in. There's the switch live, which is the kind of grey wire and a 3-core and earth. The neutral and the live. This thing's completely plastic, so actually there isn't any requirement for an earth. So I'm not sure where I'll even put the earth, to be honest. I could snip it and leave it, but have it connected up on that side. I mean, the earth, the CPC is actually for the protection of the cables rather than the device. So, but yeah, look, you can see there are these holes here, these grommets that you pop out, and that's where you then feed the cable through. So that's like a little rubber grommet. If I had a bit more, hang on. What I'll try and do is just pull this out. There you go. So that little rubber grommet comes out there. And I actually don't need that anymore because this is plastic. You don't need a rubber grommet around it. If it was made of metal, I'd need to earth it and I'd need a grommet. Obviously that's not the case here. So what I'll do is I'll kind of poke a hole through here and then I'll feed the cable through down at the bottom there so it can come up in here. There's also an access point here. So that's quite helpful, I think. The other thing that came with it, I haven't read the instructions yet, obviously. The other thing that came that was kind of tucked inside is this. It's a key to be able to, because that's the timer, so you can kind of say how long you want it on for. So plus, round to the right is do it for longer. Left is, okay, so that's just a little resistor. That's just a little resistor, and then you kind of dial it in. So that's what this is for. So I will leave this in here, and then it can kind of hopefully not rattle around too much. This is where I'm at the minute. Built this custom housing, as you know. This is all fixed in place now. These are fixed into the wall, so then they're not going anywhere. I've got cabinets that are going to go in here, and I've got a sink. This sink here, which undermounted sink, got all the waste and everything. So I need to make sure I can plumb that in. Hence why I've cut out this big gap here, so I can, you know, hook up the sink nicely. Just want to have a little think about that. I've got the hose for the washing machine, a few other bits to consider. So obviously I've got the sink, so I may well pull the washing machine out, pull that out of here, give myself a load of space to then make all my connections for, you know, the tap, for the hot and cold feed and all the rest of that. But I need to build units as well. So there's quite a bit to do in here. You know, it's not just a case of building units and plonking it on. It is that, but it's also a little bit more than that to make sure that everything works. I've set the height of this so that these will be hidden. These screw holes will be hidden by the counter, which is kind of neat. As will all of that. I'm just about to cut out the space here for this to get, basically there's a boxing in which has all the pipes hidden in it. I'm about to cut it out, which I'm quite looking forward to doing actually. You may remember when we had the kitchen counters installed, the guys just cut it freehand because they're wizards. If you haven't seen that, I'll post a link to that up here. I'm not going to be doing that. Well, I will be doing that, but I'm going to be marking everything up. I haven't tested this yet, but I'm wondering whether I've got like a white chalk. Yes, look at that. Quality. So I can mark on here exactly where I'm going to be. This is like one of those little chalk pens that you get for whatever. And I've got a brand new fresh blade for the angle grinder, and I've got a Procore battery as well. So hopefully, and some PPE as well, and I'm outside. So my measurements, got a nice square edge to help me. I need this length back here to be 1320, 1320. I'm coming in 330, well coming up 330, and I'm coming in 150. That will allow a little bit of wriggle room for me to then mount it and box it in, and then I can, you know, masking, cork and whatever else up here. So I'm just going to spend some time measuring, marking, and then cutting it. Really nicely. That is super smooth, as smooth as I'm going to get it. This blade is brilliant. X-Lock blade by Bosch. It's got these kind of serrated edges. You have a really clean, smooth finish. Very happy with that. You see, I knocked off the corner and then I gently took out the kind of excess, the little bit that was holding it on. So yeah, that's done. Now I've got to test and see whether it fits. I'll take you inside and show you where we've got to. Right, I didn't film the installation of this because I've mismeasured it. In fact, I didn't mismeasure it, I misordered. I ordered a 500 wide unit when I need a 400 wide unit. So that was very stupid on my part, and I don't know how. Anyway, I bought this second hand, got it off eBay, and their walls are ever so slightly, whoever was that cut this obviously cut it to fit theirs, and it wasn't quite square, so this is out a little bit here and out a little bit here. I know my walls are square because I built them, and I cut this square, and that is nice and tight because I measured it and I cut that. So it is what it is. I'll have to use a little bit of cork or silicone, whatever it is, to try and kind of fill this and blend it in. But it's in, and it works, and it hides the screw holes as I had planned and hoped. And I'll have to drill out a little bit for the sink, for the taps, but they'll reach, which is good. So I'm actually going to attach those on now because, or I might even just put some instant stops on there, one like this, just because that way I can switch on my water, the hot and cold, which I've switched off at the mains. So yeah, I'm going to sort that now. One other point to note, obviously I have bought this second hand. When I planned and designed this, the sink was going to be much closer over here. Either way, that plug socket was always ambitious, and isn't actually very necessary. We have one here, we have one behind there, and we have one down there. So I will decommission this one. It's not safe. It's too close to the zones, having the sink here, plus little plug socket business. So I'll take this off. I'll connect up the ring at the back, and I'll put a piece of plasterboard over it and cover it over and smooth it and all the rest of it, because that's not right. So yeah, I'm going to sort the taps now. I'm going to call it a night. This has now arrived, and by this I mean this. I don't know if Frankie basically force you into using their products. I would have been quite happy to carry on using this, except for the fact that it had been cut off and it doesn't seem to fit any other standard sizes. I tried 32mm, I tried 40mm, I got a whole range of different stuff, you know, different sizes, 32mm, and it looks on the outside like it fits and it's the same thing. Yeah, you look at that and you go, yeah, that's close enough, and then you screw it on and it doesn't screw on. So I've had to buy a Frankie one. Thankfully, I was quite fortunate. I say fortunate, I'm quite pleased. This was only £30 off Amazon. So that is very good. And I'm basically now just going to put it together. It's pretty self-explanatory. And I have to say, they work really very, very nicely. I'm going to rig this up. And then once I've kind of put it together and figured out how big it is and all the rest of it, I'll then figure out where I'm going through for the waste to go out that way, and also for the waste of this to come in here to then go back out, because it's just easier that way, kind of, you know, attaching the waste end of this onto one of these is easier than having a splitter and the little hook that goes blah blah blah. So yeah, this is what I am going to be doing now. So it looks as though you can put it onto different sized pipes if you get these different converters, which I don't have. I'm not a plumber, you all know that. Either way, I've got this now, so it's all good to go. Right, I've chopped down various different sizes of the pipe, taking off the bits that I don't need, and now I'm left with this, which is great. So I've got the bit that's coming out of here. I think that's going into 40mm pipe there, and then I've got this available to me to do the waste for the washing machine. So I will start to look at how I can get this coming out. Either I would like to ideally go straight out this way and then along the back, rather than coming across inside here and then or going at an angle. It just doesn't look very nice. So the more that I can do to neaten this up, the better. So I didn't film any of this because I'm useless at plumbing and I really needed to concentrate, and I can't do it and film it very easily at the same time. But I now have the hose here, and I have also connected up the pipes at the back. I can't really show you any of this, I'm sorry, it's not very good of me, I appreciate. But this goes back and then turns at a right angle and has a nice shallow fall and then drops down here, and the taps work and it doesn't leak. So I have hot and cold running water, and it all runs through here without leaking, which is a bit of a miracle. I did have some leaks, but I have stopped them. So unless this leaks, which is not impossible, but I think the design of it is such that it should be okay, I might put a Jubilee clip on this. That is pretty much it. So yeah, that's a win in my book. I need to get some sealant around the edge, and I need to get this other unit in, and I need to tidy up all of this. But other than that, it is done, which is really a big relief. I would love to be able to say this is the finished product, but it's not because I haven't done the toe kicks. It feels like there is always something. I get kind of 95% the way through, and then there's another job which seems more important. So I still haven't done the sealant at the back there. I did do it all around the sink. I used CT1 to kind of stick it in place, but it's functional and it works really well. We've got doors on both sides, so that's the little pull-out kind of racking system for kind of household products. And I was able to actually use this offcut here. That is the offcut from that back corner, and it just happens to fit in there really nicely. I didn't film building any of this because I just bought it all from Cut-Rights and I just assembled it. It was really very dull. I forgot to get one of the bits finished, so I need to order some edge banding and iron it on. But it all works really well, and I suppose that's almost half the problem really of finishing stuff. If it's all working, you kind of end up not fully finishing things. And also, we don't live in an Instagram house. This isn't a Pinterest home, so you know, we've done as much as we possibly can, but you know, I'm still hiding some of my tools and stuff up there. So it is what it is. We don't really mind, and it works nicely. So I hope you found this enjoyable, helpful, useful. If you're going to be watching it to kind of make your own thing, then please do like, comment, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.